Okay, so this is part 2 of that accounting worksheet assignment found in Unit 4, Section 4. And this is going to be kind of the newer part to you of the assignment. So when the text was talking about the worksheet, and this is actually the worksheet portion of the assignment. So first off, they give you the general ledger here, or the balances copied from the general ledger, I should say. So you should remember in assignment 5, you post the transactions into the journal, and then you posted the journal entries into the general ledger, and then you took the balances from the general ledger and you put them into a trial balance form. Okay, so we're just working off of that same idea. These are the balances of our general ledger. And so now we're going to use those balances to finish out the worksheet. Okay, so I have my worksheet down here. I entered down so that it was all on one page, made it a little easier for me to look at. And so you guys should be familiar with this portion of the worksheet. Okay, the trial balance portion with the account names and numbers. We did that in assignment 5 when we took the balances from the general ledger and copied them over to the trial balance. Okay, so we're doing that exact same thing again. We're transferring our balances over. So I left some spaces for you in your template, and here I'm not going to fill them all out, but because I want you to do that on your own, but I'm going to fill a few out here and then show you what we're adding on the income statement and the balance sheet portion of the worksheet. So I'm going to show you those steps next. So I'm just going to fill out a couple of these numbers here. Go down. I have my general ledger, what they gave me up here. I had this open on another screen so that I'm not scrolling back and forth and giving you guys motion sickness. So I just have this open up on the other screen, and I'm just copying my debit balances over into my debit column. And I'll be copying my liabilities balances over into my credit column. So this part should be pretty familiar to you. We did this in the last assignment. All of our general ledger balances get copied over into our trial balance. Okay, so I have all my trial balance information copied over. So what's new in this part is we are going to look at our income statement and our balance sheet. So with the balance sheet portion, we're going to copy all of our accounts except our revenue and expense accounts over to the balance sheet columns. And then we're going to copy all of our revenue and expense balances into our income statement columns. Okay, so very simple. We're just copying our balances over. So if I have a debit balance of $500 for cash, I move that over to my balance sheet debit column. Same with accounts receivable, same with vehicle, equipment. And now I have accounts payable with the credit balance and capital with the credit balance and sales with the credit balance. Okay, oops, sorry, I said, okay, so I want to save my revenues and expenses for my income. So don't be copying your sales over to your balance sheet because that's part of our income statement. So now I'm looking at my revenues and expenses, and I'm copying those balances over to the income statement columns. So sales has a credit balance, $4,500, $500 for ad expenses, $500 for insurance, $1,000 for rent, $1,000 for utilities, $1,500 for supplies. Okay, that's the only addition so far to this worksheet that we're looking at. So we copied all of our, again, our revenue and expense balances into our income statement columns. And we copied the rest of our account balances over into our balance sheet column. Okay, this helps us get an idea of what, ultimately we're looking at what our net income is going to be. Okay, so the next part is we want to add up our columns. And you'll see totals here. That means to total each column. Okay, so we want to put in a double or a single rule line. You guys should have read about the single rule and double rule in your text. The single rule seen here, the thick black line, just means we're adding up everything in this column. Okay, so we're adding up everything in these two columns, and like in our trial balance, we want these two columns to match, and they do in this instance. Okay, so that means we did everything right. If these didn't match, we'd have to go back and find out where we went wrong in copying our balances over. Okay, and then, so once we have our trial balance added up here at the bottom of these columns, then we put in this double rule, seen here, the two lines. That means, okay, we're done adding, we're finalizing these two columns, they're done. Okay, that's what the single rule means, we're adding it up. The double rule means we've added it up, this is our final answer. Okay, so then we also want to total these columns, and since we're not done here yet, we don't have the single or double rule, we have that down here. So to find our net income, if you've read in your text, our revenue is net income is going to show us when our sales, our revenue, is more than our expenses. Now, I don't like this example that they gave you because they have the amounts being equal. So in this instance, our net income, we broke even. So we don't have any net income. And so then we also look at our balance sheet and total up our debits and our credits. So each column in our balance sheet, and those numbers are also equal. So there's no difference. So our net income shows the difference between our totals of our columns here. Okay, we're looking at the balance sheet columns together, and then we're looking at the income statement sheets columns together. And the difference is 0 in both of those columns. We want these two numbers should equal when we're done with our worksheet. These two numbers should equal. And again, I don't like this example because it shows us just breaking even on both sides. Because so if in our income statement, if our credit had been more than our debit, we would have had a net income of a positive amount. But if our debits had been more than our credit, we would have had a net loss. Okay, but since they equaled out, we just have we broke even with our income. Same with our balance sheet. Okay, if our debits were more than our credits, that would give us a positive number here. If not, we would have had some loss. But we want these two numbers to equal. And then to calculate your final totals, you would just add each of these columns up. And in this instance, since we didn't have any money here as net income, it just basically we carry those balances down. But we show the single rule to show that we're adding it up, and then we show the double rule here to show that we've finished adding. So again, I don't like this particular example in this assignment just because it breaks even. So don't count on that every time. We should have some positive or negative numbers here depending on if we had a net income or a net loss. And then you would add those totals together to get your final totals. Okay, so that was assignment 6 part 2 with the accounting worksheet. Let me know if you have any questions.